What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another business breakthrough. In today's episode, I sit down with Brandon Lumby of Best Choice Painting. Really, the big topic today was in-home sales strategy. It's a topic for most of us. Every customer is different. Every customer buys different. So it requires much time, effort, and energy to figure out the best way to offer our services, which are usually going to be higher than the competition. And we kind of took a different angle here. One big topic that came up was identifying the ideal scenario for an individual and then tailoring your sales process, your estimating process to align with that best case scenario. Great episode here. Dive in, take notes, and it starts now. The big question you need to ask yourself every day is, do I own a job or do I own a business? And unfortunately, the majority of contractors out there own a job. That's right, they're a slave to their own business. But the other side of the fence is so much greener, it's so much better, and that's when you're finally fully in control of your destiny, your freedom, your time. And that's what Contractor Secrets is about. It's about taking back our time, building a business with systems, standards, values, procedures, putting yourself in the driver's seat. And that's what it's about. So I'm excited. I'm happy to have you here. Let's dive into the Contractor Secrets podcast. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Business Breakthrough. I'm here with Brandon Lundy of Best Choice Painting in Wisconsin. Welcome, my friend. Let's just dive in, man.
Thank you.
I really want to know kind of what your day-to-day looks like. And really, there's two questions that I have in that regard. What does your business look like in terms of what's going really well for you? What is an area, sales, marketing, production, that you feel like is awesome? And what's an area that you'd like for me to shed a little light on about an area that you want to expand and grow?
So I think what I have a lot of success in and what I do well is just my communication with my customers. Um, when I go, I do an initial consultation. I usually tell them I'll have the quote to them within a day or two, and I always make sure I follow through with that. I think that's one thing I have over a lot of my competition. Um, because I hear from customers that they're still waiting on other quotes all the time, stuff like that. Um, and the way I write quotes, I think too, I try and be detailed, try and add pictures to personalize it a little bit. That's one thing I try to do. Um, so yeah, I don't have the town I live in, there is not, the competition is not super crazy. I mean, there's a couple painting companies in the town I live in specifically, but I caught one of them is tied up. I think they do like new construction primarily and stuff. So that part's nice. But there's a town about the town I was born and raised in about 30 minutes away. Um, I've bid at a couple jobs out there recently, and I have not gotten the bids. There was one in particular I really wanted, new construction, walls only, beautiful cake work. And I sent the quote. I think I gave him a really good number. All I had to look at was, I went and looked at it. It was down to the studs. It was just studs or framed, So they sent me an email to do a virtual tour. I did that. They sent me actually blueprints, which was nice. So based on everything I had, I gave them my quote, and right away they emailed me and said that I was 2,000 higher than both their other quotes.
This house wasn't even built yet?
No.
Okay.
So in my competition, just to give you an idea, that would have put them at like 3-4 grand.
Yeah, and you came in thinking you were fair.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's kind of hang there for a sec. Just like let me grasp that, and I have a couple follow-up questions on that. Like, so first thing I'd like to understand is like, what is your ideal job? Like in marketing, in the marketing world, they call it like, what is your customer avatar, right? If I had to like identify my ideal customer, have you put any thought into like who your ideal customer and your ideal job is? Like, what's your customer avatar and what's your ideal job avatar?
Ideal job, probably just residential repaints, I guess.
Interior
Uh,
or exterior?
Interior.
What is the scope? Walls only, ceilings, trim, or doors?
Walls and ceilings ideally. But trim, great. If they add doors, great.
Okay, those would be, so ideal job for you is I called you over. I have a lived-in home, and I say, Brandon, I want my walls and my ceiling done. You're happy. You love that job.
Yeah, yeah. When you
Okay,
say lived in though, I
that's not.
guess,
Yeah, okay, but
yeah,
usually the majority of the people are going to be lived in. So I guess we'll kind of compromise there. Lived in home, walls and ceiling is probably the majority of the other people. Let's talk.
right.
Who's the ideal customer? What's their age range?
Um, to actually, I'm finding that kind of the younger 30s, mid 30s to maybe mid 40s, the younger people are.
That's the individual that you gave this estimate to who was building their house between the ages of 30 and 40.
That I don't know. I actually never met them. They reached out to me. I believe that one was a recommendation from Facebook. So I never was able to meet them.
Chances are they chances are. If there
What's
could be,
that?
do you think chances are they were in that younger age range?
Yeah, I do. I do. Yeah.
Okay, so between ages 30 and 40 is who that was. But would you say that's your ideal customer, or would you say that's your most common customer? I'm talking ideal customers that.
I would say that's my more ideal customer. I'm finding with the to say this, I mean the older age group. I'm finding that um, I don't know if they're used to prices. They haven't had the house painted in 10, 20 or 10, 15 years, let's say. And now I come to them with my price and they don't understand why. Well, we paid $700 for this 10, 15 years ago. Well, things have changed, obviously.
Yeah. So your ideal customer, 30 to 40, and then sometimes the older people, they want to hold on to the money until they move to Florida and they have an excess of it. That's
Yeah, a little bit.
they sell their big house in Wisconsin. Dude, there's so many Wisconsinians here, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
the bars for sports are like loaded with like Packers fans, man.
Yeah, that's the older people, man. They're like birds. They fly south once,
Good because they everyone owns the Packers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking to an owner.
Yeah. So cool, man. So that's kind of helpful for me. And I think whenever somebody kind of gives me the idea that people are saying no because of price, it's there's a strategy behind it. Number one, we have to understand that our customers are uneducated. Okay, very uneducated when it comes to doing painting in the home, buying a paint job, hiring a painting company. And how
100%.
do I know this? Because I ask it to every single customer. I don't log it, but just generally, I know that 1 out of 10 have hired a professional painting company before. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be like expecting somebody to go into a car dealership for the first time and then hearing that a brand new car is $25,000 if they haven't been to one. If the last time they went to a car dealership was in 1999 when brand new cars were $14,000.
Right.
They don't
Yeah.
know the differences of how business is done now, the processes that have changed. Some businesses still do things the way they did in 1999.
Right.
Prices have never changed, but for a motivated individual like you, you're putting together nice proposals, you're communicating effectively, you're giving them a set start date. All those things are intangible things that they yet understand the value of. Okay. So
Yeah.
it's really important that you focus not so much on the job because that would be like somebody coming into the dealership and focusing heavily on the car instead of the experience that they're getting. Because let me ask you this, if you're going into a car dealership and your salesperson, instead of greeting you, says, hey, that car could be the best car in the world, but the experience could alter the buying decision, whether or not
Yeah.
they buy the car or not. If the guy's just a jerk, it's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, you want this car? You want to do a test drive? It's like
Yeah.
super like, so if you think about it like that, the experience does affect the buying decision. Okay. So if you have somebody that's excited, hey, so what brings you in a dealership today?
Mm-hmm.
What is you know what, we have 100,000 cars. Like we have cars, I have databases. That would be impossible for you to select a car. Can I ask you a question? And you say, let me ask you, what is the most important feature that you want in your car? And then they open up to you and they say, well, actually, we're getting ready to have a baby and we really need third row seats. So like that guy asked the right question and now he can align with the customer's most important need. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of
That's
saying,
great points.
yeah, instead of just saying, hey, we have a bunch of cars. Let me show you my favorite, right? And then
Yeah,
she in her head isn't gonna tell her, well, I'm having a baby. Like, no, like the experience affects the sale, right? So it's
yeah,
important for you as a business owner to facilitate the experience. Now, in your case that you gave me about this cold job, you weren't acting in your ideal scenario. So to me, I would write that off as an easy loss because number one, you didn't get a face-to-face interaction. You've already you've kind of like disqualified yourself because when you don't have that face-to-face interaction, what do people compare you with? The
right.
number.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, and I knew on that one too.
You didn't have the ability to do what you take most pride in. And
Yeah,
just from hearing you, you take most pride in communication, presentation, ability to separate yourself. You didn't get to take pride in those things. They said, hey, can you go to the house and check it out? You said, yeah, sure. And then you sent them the proposal. They didn't look at your beautiful pictures. They didn't care about your presentation. They said, oh, you want 6 grand? Well, this company wants 4 grand. They compared you to the numbers because you didn't give them anything else to compare you to.
yeah, that's the truth. Yeah,
You know? So don't
absolutely.
So that's why I made it a focus initially to say, hey, what is your ideal situation? Your ideal situation is knocking on the door. Hey, Mrs. Jones, like
Yeah,
that thing, right? Because you want them to meet you, get to know you, and understand what separates you outside of the numbers.
right. And I do think I once, and I was talking with my wife, and she said, she said if you were able to get actually meet those people face to face, she thought that my chances would have been a lot higher. And um,
I could tell
I
because,
agree, but
I mean, seriously, like, because here's the thing, right? I have 100 landscape companies, okay? I got 3 estimates. They're all around the same price. One guy was higher. But guess what? The guy that was higher texted me right back. He was at my door the time he said he would. Okay.
yep,
Came with a clipboard, right? He was professional, told me some random things about my yard that I don't care about, but sounded important. So I told him to do
yeah,
it, And guess what? I'm now in a committed $100 a month agreement, you know? Um,
yeah,
and at the end of the day, am I going to go out there and check? No, not at all. I don't care that much. But I know that I can count on this guy. Worth more definitely showed me that. If he just texted me a price, hey, it's $100 a month, and then another guy texted me a price, hey, it's $40 a month. Why wouldn't I go with the cheaper guy? They both texted me. So
right.
important as a business owner to put yourself in the position of a customer. You've got to do it, dude. You've got to see it that way because it'll help you become more effective. Now, let's kind of get into your customer experience because I want to put this little situation behind us with this empty house that had,
Yeah,
cleaning, that's not your ideal job. You should have said no. To be honest with you, you should have just been like, unfortunately, we don't do estimates that we can't actually interact with you in person. Say it nicely, but we'd like for you to be there. Are you able to be there? Oh, okay, unfortunately, we don't. Because it's waste of time. They're just going to compare you to price.
yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think of it that way.
I lower your standards, and then what it does is
Yeah,
it throws you off course and you start to second guess. Am I doing this right? Why are my prices this way? So on and so forth. So that makes sense.
yeah, yeah,
Awesome. So one thing that I just want to kind of touch base on is like what that customer experience looks like. And now picture what I told you about the car dealership. So when you go up to somebody at the house, can you walk me through kind of what you do when you're about to give an estimate, or what does that interaction look like? You're knocking on my door, like what do I expect?
yeah. So basically, knock on the door. I go in and just ask them to just kind of show me what they're looking to have done. Um, that's one thing. That's something I've actually been thinking about right now. The past couple days is that I think I could do a better job on is actually explaining, trying to because what as a painter. to, like with a car, for example, like you said, with a car, if you're trying to sell them this car compared to another car, you have all these features on the better car. So with painting, it's like,
There's nothing tangible, right? You can't just
right,
show them the car. You
right,
you've got to put them in the car mentally because you
right.
have the luxury of saying, "Hey, this is the car. This is what you're going to get if you buy it." As a
Mm-hmm.
contractor, where you're going with this, I believe, just to kind of, I want to help bridge the gap here because you're right there, dude. You've got to create the car. But you can continue. I think that is that where you were heading with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to, because I mean, to explain why, and I can give them reasons why my company, why it's going to be the best choice, obviously. um, but you know what they think is, well, I mean, it's, I don't know what they think, but they might think, well, I mean, you're both just going to paint the room. So what? One of your lines is a little straighter. You use different paint. They don't.
Two words here every single anytime anyone calls you, okay? And then I'm gonna bring it back to you. It's called ideal scenario. Every person who is getting ready to make a buying decision has created the ideal scenario in their mind.
Yeah.
Identify what the best case scenario is. The best case scenario, if I go to a car dealership, I'm gonna find the perfect car for me at the perfect price that I want to pay. Okay?
Right.
That's me as a buyer. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean I'm not willing to pay more if I'm shown value. That just means that I'm going to come in and receive more value than the value of what I'm buying. Okay. That's the ideal scenario. What would be a worst case scenario is if I pay more for less value. Okay.
Yeah.
We want the person paying the money to feel like they've won because you can't quantify value. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I can't quantify. So if
Hmm.
I spend 95% of my time building value, forget the project, dude. We're expected to paint. Okay. Don't worry about the project. Okay, you want your walls, ceiling trim done? We're going to go over a couple specifications. Boom, I'm going into my value points when I go to a house. I want them to know what they're going to get. I want to get as close as what their ideal scenario is as possible. Let me give you an example. Somebody
Yeah.
calls and says they're moving into a house and they need an estimate for painting. First thing they say, are you able to meet the realtor there? And I'd say, actually, you know what's even greater? We don't have to wait for that. This is case specific. I can build value over the phone. You just didn't get a chance to with this person that you worked with. I say, you know what? I'm going to do one even better for you. Actually, we have probably phenomenal photos online, and we can look at the photos online and we can make a proposal for you based off those photos to save you from having to do all that. I want to save you as much time as possible because chances are you're probably trying to line us up for a move-in date, and we want to see if we can actually do this as quickly as possible. Would
Yeah.
you agree that that's the ideal scenario for the customer?
Yeah. Absolutely. Like, especially if you know they're moving. Yeah.
You know they're moving, but here's the thing. So from there, and I say, okay, we're going to get the pricing out of the way, and then I say, well, let me just explain to you how our move-in process works with customers. Do you mind? And
Go ahead.
they'll say, yeah. And I'll say, well, here's how it works. Typically, what we do is we hold a $500 deposit. If the deal falls through, we will refund your deposit as long as you show us some sort of form or something that says that the deal fell through. And the reason why we do that is just to make sure we can lock you in on our schedule. That's it. Just right there, I've set myself light years away. That's just an example of building situational value. Now, if you get somebody that comes to you, now you're knocking on the door, let's talk in person. And they say, hey, Brandon, the reason why I called you was because the HOA sent us a letter and we need to get our house painted, right? So then you would emphasize how quickly you can get the job done and how efficiently you can get it done rather than the product, the warranty. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
care about the ideal scenario. I need to get this guy in here before I get fined. So it
Yeah.
really just comes down to identifying what is most important to them. Sort of like I gave you the example of, hey, Mitch, what is most important to you in a car? Find out what's always most important in the ideal scenario of your customer and try to align your sales process with that.
Yeah. Um, and I definitely, I'm always kind of gauging people, gauging the situation. For example, if it's the opposite of moving in, if they're moving out, quick repaint, just doll it up quick so it's ready for sale, that kind of stuff. But yeah, sometimes I know I read something that I think you posted about kind of asking about their budget.
Okay.
I've never been able to successfully, I've never really tried. I've never been able to successfully find a way to ask that question. Like, do you guys have a budget in mind? Because that is a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes things a lot easier. I think I put in there. That's the golden number, bro. If you can find out somebody's budget.
Yeah.
Ideal scenario. That's why I keep saying that. I want you to lock it in. Ideal scenario is they pay less than the value that they're getting, right? Everyone has that ideal scenario. It's up to you to build the value. Value can't be quantified, so it can work in your favor if you do it right. Okay?
Yeah.
So the reality of the situation is asking for the budget should only occur after they've seen your price.
Right.
It should never occur before. There's some people that buy people, and that's not my style. I'm going to give you a price, then I'm going to follow up with you, and I'm going to ask if you have any questions. Right then and there, I'm going to find out whether or not you're the reason you're not hiring me. If they say, no, Tanner, we don't have any questions, and then they're going to say, well, we want to get a couple more estimates. And I say, well, may I ask you a question? And then they'll say, yeah, sure. I said, well, do you think that we would do a good job for you if you were to hire us? And they'd say, yeah, I mean, you guys are reputable, you know. And I say, did I do a good job kind of answering all your questions? Yeah. And I said, well, may I ask, is there a reason that you're looking for more estimates? And they say, well, it really comes down to kind of price, and they'll be honest. You ask them, they'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, the price is a little more than what we wanted to pay. And I say, okay, well, may I ask you, what was the budget for the project? Do you see how easy that just comes out?
Yeah, the way you do it, the way you just did it right there, that came out really nice. And
like, we're friends. Like, hey, I just want to know. I'm trying to help you. What budget for the project? And from there, bro, I mean, you have such good information, because there's a lady today. I called her, did this exact same thing. We were at 7,800. Okay, man. Yeah. So what was the budget for the project? Well, Tanner, we wanted to be at 7,000. $800 away, really? Okay, so I said, this is where I build value. Again, even though they told me that, now I know that I have to build anywhere between $7,000 and $7,800 worth of value. So how do I showcase $700 to $800? In other words, how do I justify that my company is worth paying more, $800 more than somebody that comes in and quotes it for $7,000?
Yeah.
And I also know that at $7,000 I have a deal, and I know my margins. So at the very least, I'll make 38% on the job. So it's like, let me see if I can build it up a little bit. So I'd say, Jane, I loved meeting with you yesterday. Hopefully by now that you see that we would do a great job. One thing that you told me was really important to you was that we would protect your plants. That's actually something that we actually have a pre-job meeting about. And one of those things will be emphasized. And I know that you find value in that, and would you agree? And then she says, yes, absolutely. I said, well, in order to have great guys that take pride in doing those sorts of things, and I'm sure you told me you were in business 20 years ago, you've got to pay very well. And that's one thing that contributes to our higher cost, is that, we have a higher labor cost than many of the other guys that just subcontract work or, pick people up or however they do it. Our guys are loyal employees that have been with us for years. So that's part of the reason why our pricing is a little outside of maybe what you have expected. And I'm coming across so smooth with just the idea that I'm doing this for you, Jane. I'm building value for you. We're providing a great service for you, Jane. Okay, I'm not doing this for me. This is for you, Jane. I filtered out my applicants for you, Jane. So I said, listen, Jane, here's the thing. I have a little room here, but I can only do it today. I'm going to adjust this proposal to $7,500 if we can lock in the job today. Would you allow me to earn your business today at that price? She thought about it. Absolutely, Tanner. You know what? You're right. Let's get this thing done. So we were only $300 away, really. I built $500 worth of value. I had some room, so I wasn't going to, for me personally, like, I'm not going to go back up to 78. That's hard, because that's a little bit harder. But for me, 75, cool, 45% margin, 4-day job. Let's do it. Yeah. So I just want to share that with you, because sometimes it takes one more question. sometimes it takes asking the tough questions of budget, and then not so much just asking what that budget is, just knowing that that's the starting point. That's how much more value you have to build. So with your guy, you said your competition was at like 3 to 4, you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were at what, 5 to 6?
6. Yep. 6.
Okay. So to build $3,000 worth of value to somebody that's never met you, doesn't know your personality, you know nothing about them, impossible.
It was, yeah, it was, they said to me that, they said, I think maybe you gave us a 2-coat price, and that could be the difference. Well, we're certain that it's only going to take one coat.
And your drywall, really?
They said it's going to be painted Dover, I think Dover white. The builders were going to paint it Dover white. They said we've done it in our new house.
Builders are going to spray it, and it's going to be thin, and the first coat that you put on of nice paint is going to soak in there like a sponge.
Suck it up, yeah. So yeah, but I told him, I said I'd go down to around $5,000. I told him, and I really thought they were. I thought we were really close to making it happen, but
so the thing about it is again, remember the ideal scenario. You didn't create enough value to justify the difference. That's all it was. That's all.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that in a cold sales environment like that. I mean, didn't meet them. They don't get to know you. They can't trust you. They can't get a read on you. They don't look into your eyes. They don't know all these things that help the value, like, again, people go into car dealerships every day and buy cars because of the freaking experience, not the car, remember
Yeah.
Because it's the experience that people pay for. People pay more for a great experience. I was in the driveway with this lady that I just told you about, talking about her life and her family and her time in business. She felt drawn to me. And I don't play on that in a way that's manipulative at all, dude.
Right.
Get it twisted. I'm not like that. I got out of car sales because it was manipulative. I'm very honest. I'm very straightforward, but I believe in my brand. I believe in my guys. And I know that I'm fighting not against the good companies. I love them. I don't see them as competition. I think they help me because they raise the prices in the area. I'm fighting against the guys that don't do things right. They don't do things the right way. They don't do workers' comp. They do shoddy work, and they put a bad name on our industry. That's who I'm fighting against. So if I need to be a little strategic and I got to come across a little strong to get Jane to jump into my lifeboat before she drowns in a sea of these guys, then I have to do that. That's how I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you said it right though. I mean, it's the guys out there going $150 a room. Those are the guys. Yeah, they're killing the industry, and it's and then it's, as we're talking about right now. I mean, it's separating finding a way to explain why I'm worth paying the extra. And I mean, I understand why. I can explain them why. I can give them some reasons. But I guess.
So let me give you something to grab onto to take with you on the next estimate. That was the purpose of this, is just to give you some intangible tangibility. Here's number one. You want to identify what the main motivation is. This is going to get closer to the ideal scenario. Okay. The main motivation. I'm moving in, I'm moving out. My wife really wants this done. She's been asking me for 10 years. The paint's fading. I'm worried about water damage. This, that, and the other. Find the reason first. Because I just gave you 6 random scenarios that require different ways of approaching the job, right?
Yeah.
Find that out. So what's the screen? Why did you call us over today? And then from there, you got to tailor your sales approach. Number 2, biggest barrier in the house painting industry, colors. Have you chosen colors yet? No, my wife is really stressing out about it. No problem. We offer free color consultation. No problem. We'll get you some samples. No problem. I have a color deck that will provide to you if you decide to do business with us. Don't ever bring colors into the house, ever, on the estimate, ever. Big mistake. Have you been doing that?
No. Bring colors into the house?
Yeah, like a color deck.
No, I don't. No, certainly don't come in with it right off the bat.
That'll confuse them. They won't.
Yeah.
You'll be looking at the colors. I made that mistake, so I'm just making sure that you do.
Yeah, no, unless they ask. I don't like getting involved with colors. I mean,
but just here's what I'm saying though. This is a way to build value. If you don't want to get into colors, then you find somebody that does. Sherwin-Williams offer a free color consultation.
I work with an interior designer too. I'm trying to set something up with her.
But where it comes down to is that's your way of building value, man. You could say, hey, you're asking that question to find a pain point. The husband might be saying, oh my God, she's stressed out about colors, but we still need to get the house painted. No problem. Don't worry. We actually work with an interior designer. So that separates you from the other guy. Ideal scenario. Remember, he's happy that colors are out of the friggin' equation. He's tired of going to the paint store.
Yeah.
You know, right? You've just your friend. Third question, what's the time frame of the project? Oh, we need this done as soon as possible. Perfect. So you can create urgency. Oh, we're not too worried about getting it done. We're going to be leaving this, that, we're waiting for the roof to get done. Perfect. You can create urgency to get it done to fit in your schedule. So it's like those three questions. What's the story? Have you chosen colors? When do you want the project done? Based off of those three things, then you can alter your approach in each of those areas and build value. That's all it's about, building value, connecting with their ideal scenario.
Yeah.
So,
100%.
for you, man. I hope this was helpful. Was it helpful?
Definitely. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I really do.
Absolutely. Maybe if you want to jump on again after you find success with this and you want to take it up a notch of really diving into that closing process, that sales process, happy to do it, man. Just reach out to me.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Hey, I just want to take a second to thank you for joining me here on the Contractor Secrets podcast. I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know that my passion is coaching people, helping people. I've changed my Instagram name to @contractorcoach, and I did that because that is my passion. I want to help you. So please reach out to me. If you have an issue going on in your business, send me an email, find me on Instagram, message me, and let's do a breakthrough session. I want to work through your problems in your business to help you get to that next level. And one thing that I always say is this, the difference between those that get over the humps and the hurdles in business is just a change in perspective. And that's what I plan to offer you. So get with me, message me, allow me to help you take your business to the next level.